Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. Today is May the 16th, 2024. This is another very informative, meaningful session brought to you by the ABC's Training and Professional Development Committee. My name is Melvin Coleman. I'm president and CEO of the ABC, and I am just greeting you before I move out of the way and bring up the chair for the Training and Professional Development Committee. But before I do that, some of you already know this, but we may have some folks who are not so familiar with the ABC. So there are 12 committees, a total of 12 committees. Some of you are familiar with, whether it's financial services, global opportunities, what's another good one that I'm health and wellness. But there's 12 of those. There's 5 affinity groups. So 5 affinity groups, and start with the Women's League, but don't start there. Don't stop there, I should say. But you have the Veteran Entrepreneurs Group, you have the Young Entrepreneurs Collaborative, and then you also have the North and the South in terms of South Metro and North Metro. So those are 5 affinity groups. And hey, right now that's plenty. That's enough. But the ABC is always looking to grow smart, right? So I share that with you just to give you some perspective on how dynamic the organization is and our capabilities to do or to execute on our mission, I should say. So I'd like to introduce to some of you for the first time, and others you've had the pleasure. One of my leaders on the leadership team, his name is Jarvis Gray, and he is the chair of the Training and Professional Development Committee of the Atlanta Black Chambers. Jarvis, I'm going to turn it over to you, brother, and you do your thing. Okay?
All right. No, thank you very much, Melvin, and welcome everybody within the Atlanta Black Chambers. It's always an honor and a blessing just to be able to bring some of these events. I want to give a quick shout out to all of our Training and Professional Development Committee members who are online with us today. Family, when I say that this team puts in a lot of work just to come up with the right topics and the right events that are going to add value to all of us as business owners. So for as much as I love to be a part of this and help put it together, I'm over here with my pen and paper and looking forward to learning from our speakers today. Really quickly, before I pull our speakers up to the platform and turn the show over to them, I do want to give a quick highlight for next month, or really our next 2 events that we're working on, just to give you all something to look forward to. First, in the month of June. So mark your calendars for June 13th. We are going to do a workshop around best practices on how to use LinkedIn and Alignable to grow your business. We've gotten a lot of questions and queries about these 2 platforms and how to leverage it to grow your business through networking, through doing workshops. I see a few leaders on here that I've collaborated with, and we've promoted their workshops through these other platforms. I see a few folks from LinkedIn and Alignable who joined because I posted this event today on those platforms. So now it's time for us to figure out how to use it in our small businesses. So the heads up there. And then we're also going to do another live in-person workshop around what we call profitable time management. So we all hear the term that time is money. So as business leaders and business owners, what does that really mean? So just want to highlight those 2 workshops. Please keep an eye out for. We're going to be posting those very soon. But with no further ado, y'all, let's get into today's event. And again, really excited because one of the leaders, she's on our TPD committee. So Takisha Bartley, she's the CEO of Bartley Consulting Services. And her co-presenter, her partner today is going to be Micher Lisa Sheldon, who's the CEO of Businessist LLC. Today's topic is how to elevate your communication skills to build your business. So again, a lot of our focus through the TPD is all about business growth, business success. But we all know the best way to market your business is to communicate about it. So now what are the best practices that are going to lead us through workshops, through public speaking, presentations, and really showing our leadership skills as business owners and business leaders. So with no further ado, I love to invite Takisha and Charlisa onto the stage, and then we're turning the show over. So thank you all again, and let's please take notes and be prepared to engage with these leaders and ask a lot of questions. Let me see, Takisha, where are you? You're in the crowd.
I am here.
It's up to Keisha.
All right, and please, yeah, come on line and let us know if you have the ability to go ahead and share your slides or your
Yeah,
screens.
Charlisa has our slide, so Charlisa, you can share.
Good morning, everyone.
All right, good morning.
Good morning. Give me 1 second. Screen. Someone else is sharing is not allowing me to share.
My apologies.
No problem.
Try again. You know, we were still in the Melvin Jazz Club. My apologies.
Understood. Understood. All
They know
right.
how it is. Okay.
Here we go.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I appreciate all of you guys for joining us here today. As Jarvis mentioned, today we're here to talk about ways to elevate your communication as a business owner in common settings many of us find ourselves in. So whether you're networking, whether you're communicating in person, over email, if you have a team, or perhaps through public speaking sessions, there are some best practices that you guys can utilize along the way that we would like to cover with you.
And let me ask Takisha, just a heads up, your camera is not on if you are.
Oh, yes, I'm so sorry. Can you guys see me? Can you guys see me? No?
Yes, ma'am, there she is.
Okay, I'm clear. Okay, so the first is active listening. So in order to effectively network with someone, you have to practice active listening. And that involves being fully present. So oftentimes when we're networking, we're thinking about what we're going to say, how we're going to present our business, or how we're going to find ways to integrate our business into what the person needs, even if it's not a good fit. I've done that before. I've been guilty of that. But instead, you want to focus and make sure that you're listening to what the person is actually saying about themselves, what it is that they do, what the direction of their business, etc., so that you understand what they actually need. When you do this, number one, it demonstrates that you have competence, right? There's nothing worse than saying, hey, this is what I do, and then the person's not paying attention, and it's like, oh, that's not really what I do. And then second, it demonstrates your level of engagement, right? And so those are people who you want to typically interact with. Even better if you can provide a referral or some sort of assistance through different resources for them. You also want to have ask open-ended questions, right? So that shows your interest about their work and their challenges. We know that being an entrepreneur is very difficult. And many of us were eager to share our stories, right? So saying things like, hey, tell me a little bit more about that, or how did you get through that, right? That lets the listener know that you're interested in their journey. It lets them know, of course, that also you're interested in their products and services. So asking open-ended questions about this is a great way to again, express your level of engagement with the person that you're networking with. And then if you happen to also know what's going on in their market, ask them about how that's actually affecting them, what their concerns are, and how they intend to overcome those challenges. Sometimes in those discussions, it can spark a solution for them. I don't know if you guys have had that. I've had that happen before. I'm like, oh, wow, that's a really good idea. So don't be afraid to ask open-ended questions. It allows for knowledge sharing, and it also allows for solving business problems. You also want to practice reflective listening. So we've all known that paraphrasing, right? Hopefully you've learned that in school, in grade school, but paraphrasing, it's a great practice to make sure that you've understood what someone is saying correctly. Don't feel embarrassed. It's a great practice so that if you're not understanding, that they can correct you. Not everyone has the best elevator pitch. It is what it is. Sometimes, you know, the person's business is just quite complex to understand. So when you paraphrase, it allows a person to say, yes, that's exactly what it is that we do, or no, you know, we do a little bit more on this side. And then on the flip side, if you find that people are often paraphrasing what it is that you do incorrectly, it's a sign that you're not explaining your business well enough or in simple enough terms. So take that as a learning lesson to adjust how it is that you're speaking about your business. Next, you want to avoid interrupting. And I do this, I'm guilty of this. Sometimes you just get really excited and you want to kind of jump in there, but resist the urge to interrupt with your own thoughts before someone finishes their statement. Not only is it a courteous thing to do, right? Some people may take it as rude and they may not want to then even do business with you, right? Even though that's not necessarily your intention. And also you might go off on a tangent prematurely and it's not the direction of their business. So give them an opportunity to speak. So again, you can be fully present and you're comprehending fully what it is that they're saying. Networking also allows you to build authentic relationships, right? We all know that people that it is that we want to do business with, we know, like, and trust. So in order to do that, you have to be yourself. Authenticity is essential in building relationships. You have to learn how to shed imposter syndrome if that's something that you struggle with, because anything that is not authentically you will show up at some point. And it's going to make the person feel duped because they're going to get a different version of you months later. And all that's going to do is make them wonder how trustworthy you are, right? So you don't want someone to question who you are or your character. I can tell you right now, if I have to question someone's character, I'm just not going to do business with them. So a lot of people feel very similarly. And if you find that there's just not synergy between you and a potential client, that's okay, right? Like, not everyone is for you. But when you're your authentic self, then you're attracting people who you will work well with in the long term. We should be thinking long term. Also, find common ground, right? We are people before we are business owners or professionals. So finding something that you share in common is a great tool for building relationships. Your kids might go to the same school, you grew up in the same place, you like similar hobbies. Just trying to find at least one connection point so that you are more memorable. Those are things that are going to stand out a little bit more than what it is that you do. There may be a million people that I run into who have a marketing business, but when you have a marketing business and we grew up in the same town and we both golf or swim, now I distinctly remember you. You also want to offer value, right? So look for ways to offer value, to share your knowledge, your expertise, and resources without expecting anything in return. When you offer up some kind of value, just the art of reciprocity naturally takes its course, especially if you do something multiple times for someone. So if you want to build relationships, try and find a way to help that person periodically, preferably more than once, right? Send them articles or send them things that are going to address their pain points. That's really important. Like, wow, this was really helpful. Everyone wants to work with people who make their lives easier, right? That's including people that we hire and we work for and with. So I do a lot of networking and I find that most people are looking to just sell me something. And I get that, of course, the point of networking is to ultimately draw in business, but the best way to receive is to give. So that will make you a standout from the rest of the crowd if you find ways to offer value to someone. Definitely not to be, sorry, Lisa, I'm not done with the last line. Also being reliable and trustworthy. So you only have one chance to prove that you are a shady character for someone to not want to do business with you. Be honest all the time. Don't try to get over because you think that you can. Do what you say you're going to do and follow up with people. That's the number one thing that people say they're going to do and they don't do. Oh, I'll follow up with you. And then you never hear from them again. Or you hear from them, I don't know, a year later and you forgot who they are. That already sets the tone that you're not a reliable person. So again, put your character first. We've all heard the saying again, that people do business with those that they know, like, and trust. So always keep that in mind. And again, when you burn bridges because you are not reliable or you're not trustworthy, that's a permanent bridge that you break. Okay. Digital communication. So Digital communication is important. Many of us work remotely, if not the majority of us. So these are some helpful tools as well. The first one is consistently ensuring that greetings are used. So I know that most of you are from the South. I can come from New York, so there's not a lot of hi, good morning, how are you? So I'm sure I don't have to harp on this, but greetings and introductions matter, especially in email. Again, saying those things, how are you? How was your weekend? If you haven't spoken to someone in a long time, how have you been? You just crossed my mind. All of those things, are ensuring that you're acknowledging the person and not just what it is that they do and diving into what it is that you need. Grammar is very important. I'm a little bit of a grammar police when the spelling bee. So I am really a proponent of strong grammar just because it sets a tone for your professionalism. And one of the things, of course, spell check, it doesn't always come up if it is a word, but it's just used in the wrong context. I've had situations happen before where someone has sent me an email, it's the incorrect word, and I'm spending all of this time trying to figure out, but it's like a critical word that I know matters to the context of the email. And I'm like, what is it that this person is saying? And then you don't want to respond back like, what? So you don't want to be that person, right? We're all very busy with our day-to-day. And so you need to make sure that your emails have proper syntax, diction, you're using things in the proper context, so that the person is not trying to spending time trying to figure out what it is that you're trying to say. Also, being respectful. This is a really big one. Being respectful in your tone when you're addressing especially sensitive issues. So it's very easy for the tone of an email to come off negatively in the absence of inflection when you're speaking, right? So especially when there is maybe some sort of conflict or there's a more contentious issue, you want to make sure that we all find ourselves in that situation. There's just going to be difficult clients, difficult days, difficult situations that you have to deal with. Take time to just really cool off. I find that every time I do that, if I draft an email, I'm in a much more level-headed place. Take time to cool off. And especially if it's a snarky email, because all it's going to do, if you put another snarky response, you're just going to end up going back and forth and you're not actually solving the issue. So focus on what the actual issue is. Acknowledge how the person feels, even if you're upset, right? I know that you're probably frustrated, but X, Y, and Z. And then try to temper emotions by bringing it back to the common ground of what the both of you are trying to achieve. Generally speaking, whenever emotions are heightened, the best way to bring them down is by addressing the core issue, right? There's always a main issue that you're trying to solve from a business perspective. So really try to focus, put your focus back on that. People often get upset about the way you said something, how it made them feel. So you need to bring it back to what the ultimate goal is. Another one is responding promptly. So I am very big on this. Responding promptly is important. It lets somebody know that they are important to you, whether that's even in your personal life. You send a text message, you don't get a response back in 3 days, you're like, what's going on? So obviously it's the same thing with email, right? It lets the person know that you value them. So even if you don't have a response to something, you don't have an answer, still acknowledge the email and a general time frame of when you'll have a response. I recommend responding to all emails within 24 to 48 hours. If you're going to be out of town, let them know, hey, I'm going to be out of town. So, you can expect a delay in emails, and then they don't think that you're dodging them. Video conferencing best practices. Again, we work remotely. Video conferencing is quite popular. So to me, nothing is better than face-to-face in order to build relationships. But if you're not able to do that, then try your best to be on camera. It gives you an ability to see someone's background. You get to see more of the human side of them and interacting with them. Again, on a more humanistic level, you can see, how they're interacting with their family and their pets, and you can get to see all of those nonverbal cues as well. And we know that 90% of communication is nonverbal. So, again, just remember to do that, because it also helps to help build those relationships effectively. Next slide. Okay, client communication. So when you do have clients, you want to ensure that you understand their needs. And the best way to do that is to recap your email. I always recommend recap every single email with uh, a general response, right? So here's what we discussed. That makes sure that both you and the client are on the same page. If there's any misconception or somebody's misconstruing something, you can do that up front. You can make those changes up front, because there's nothing worse than going too far down a path and it's the incorrect one, right? You've done work unnecessarily, or it's not what the client is expecting. So make sure that, again, just best practice, recap every single meeting with an email so that you guys continue to be on the same page. With that note, you also want to set expectations regarding communication frequency, deliverables, and timelines. That should be set up front. If there are things that change, then that should be also put in an email, right? As discussed, we're going to change a timeline of this. Here's the new deliverables. You can have a new project plan, etc. You also want to be transparent on the progress, challenges, and potential solutions that you guys have. So challenges are going to happen, right? You can't run from them, especially as a business owner. So when they do happen, you have to be ready to address them, right? There are unforeseen, potential, stop gaps that occur. You provide solutions to that, right? And so they can either agree with you, they can disagree with you, they can have, they can add to your proposed solutions, but whatever it is, make sure that you have a solution to address it, and then you have to have an updated project plan that reflects your new solution. And then also you want to be proactive. This is something subtle, but it's really, really important. So if you find that you have a client and they are saying, hey, what's the status? That's an indication that you're not communicating often enough. That literally is always my trigger to say, gosh, I need to do a better job. And it happens to all of us. So at the point where you start to think, oh, I need to follow up with this person, they're probably thinking that too. That's a tip that I always give to everyone. And I can tell you that it's almost always correct, right? So once you start to think about that person and that I need to follow up with them, they're thinking it as well. You want to get ahead of that and let them know, hey, I didn't forget about you. Even if you don't have an answer, right? I didn't forget about you. I'm still looking into this. Here's the status of what it is that I'm doing. It at least lets them know that they're front of mind for you. And then you want to adapt your communication to the client. So of course, yes, we want to work with people that we, again, know, like, and trust. But you really have to adapt the way that you communicate based on, who that client is. So if you have, I would start with always being more formal, right? Until you feel that that person is kind of releasing a little bit more of formality. But if you find that you have a bevy of clients and you're very comfortable or formal with them, and you have new clients that you're looking to establish relationships with, and maybe you kind of slip 4-letter words in here and there, that can be very off-putting to someone who is new. So you always want to adapt to, read the room, right? And understand how it is that that person prefers to interact, follow their lead. It is not us. They do not have to adapt to us. It is us that has to adapt to them. Okay, so public speaking and presentations. Proficient public speaking is very important. It builds credibility and trust amongst your clients and team members. We all know people who are excellent public speakers and the Tony Robbins of the world, right, that get paid millions of dollars. So public speaking, whether it is establishing trust among your industry peers or among your team, which hopefully eventually you'll have, that is extremely important. It can give you a lot of opportunities also as a business owner, because that establishes, hey, this person is competent, they know what they're doing, they know what they're talking about. And sometimes one person knows more information than the other, but it's just the visibility that comes with public speaking, and somebody being able to speak confidently on something that will give you a lot of business opportunities. So if you don't have great public speaking skills, which many of us don't, very few of us are just naturally, great at that, take a public speaking class. So I'd recommend Toastmasters. That is a very widely known one. I used to facilitate it at my a couple of jobs. And but if you don't have those, you can just Google them. You can go on Eventbrite. A lot of times they're free. They don't always have to be costly. They can be economical. So just Google a public speaking class. I've literally seen people go from awful to really good. You'd be very, very surprised what that does for your development. So I strongly recommend that. It also helps influence an audience's decisions, right? And so I think this is especially important, as you're growing, or maybe you're in infancy stage. You need to influence decisions, because those decisions can be pitch decks. They can be, for business funding. And so that then matters, especially I would say in the early days. So making sure that you have, the supporting data and, documentation to support your product and business and service. That's what the presentations are for. God bless the people that don't need presentations and they can just get up there and speak. But presentations, number one, they can help, keep you on track. And then they're also a supporting visual aid to help people understand what the value that your business will bring to the market, to the industry, so that they can then support you. There may be investors, right, that may be interested in that. So this becomes really, really important when it comes to influencing decisions that help, people sway your way. And effective leadership using public speaking, it can inspire, it motivates, it guides teams, right? We all have probably worked for, hopefully at some point, or, a leader who was just able to bring that out of us, right? They were able to inspire us. They made us want to work harder. You have to then be that person for your team, and you have to practice now. So even if you don't have a team, you should be preparing, to do that. So, so I would recommend, again, motivational speaking, inspirational speaking. That also, of course, starts with the vision that you have. You have to believe in what it is that you're doing. That translates, to other people. And that also will translate into your culture, right? Ultimately, which is, again, something that's going to make people want to stay with you long term. So don't devalue the importance of effective speaking, inspirational speaking, motivational speaking. As a leader, I think everyone can utilize that, because that's what will draw people in. That's what's going to continue to draw your audience in, your team members in. That's what's going to make people want to do business with you. So continue to get comfortable, speaking publicly. I would start first with just public speaking classes. And then, a lot of times they'll go and grow incrementally from there to motivational and inspirational speaking. Okay, so a couple of tips for public speaking and presentations. So the first is, this is very important, know your audience, right? So if you are presenting to a bunch of novice professionals, you don't want to be throwing out a whole bunch of acronyms that people don't understand, right? Think about where it is that your audience is coming from. If you are presenting to your board, right, that you don't want to dumb down information either, right? That they're going to think that this is, obviously I already know this, or experienced professionals, because then they're not going to think that the information that you're giving them is useful. So always start your basis with who is the audience, what information is it that they already know, and then develop, your presentations from there. Organize your content. So as you're developing presentations, they should essentially be a story. That is your story. That is your subject matter. So if you find that as you're practicing and going through your presentations, that things seem to be a little bit disjointed and you're not able to tell a story as you would verbally, that's an indication that your slides are in the wrong order, right? So again, as you go through your content, you should be able to easily speak, have easy transitions. If you're not able to do that, then there's some kind of gap that's missing. Engage your audience with open-ended questions and participation. So, I mean, we've all been in school, right? Grade school, where the teacher was like, hey, class participation is part of your grade. Well, now we are the teachers, right? And so we have to engage the audiences. And when you're speaking, especially for long periods of time, and people are, just checking their phone or they're bored, you're not necessarily engaging them enough. So the best way I think to do that, have exercises, right? Throw in some questions on, what has your experience been, right? That's a great way to get people talking, to get endorphins going, and also for people to share experiences, because if they don't find things that are relatable to them, they tend to be disinterested. So the best way to draw people in is to ask them their opinions. And also it allows for shared learning as well, because it's not one person who's able to, give all the knowledge. It's everyone in the room. Next, don't overcrowd slides. I'm sure you guys have heard about this before. So I think slides are great. But if you are using slides and you have every single word and you're just reading the slide word for word, there's no way you can be engaging. It's impossible, because all that's going to happen is that the audience is just going to read, what's on the script. The way that you keep people engaged is, yourself, right? How you then present the information. So don't use it as a crutch. You may want to just put in, keywords, right, that help you remember your points, so that if you get off track, it's kind of just a reminder. But you don't want to overcrowd it, because again, all people are going to do is they're going to just read it. I also would not, this is also for me best practice, I also don't like to hand out slides before the presentation, because you'll also find that people will just keep flipping through and they're just not going to be engaged. You want to keep them interested every step of the way. And manage nervousness by practicing. I don't know that, again, public speaking naturally comes to most people. And the best way to mitigate nervousness is to just continue practicing, right? Practice your content, know your content. I can tell you there are, for me, almost, I want to say 35% of the time I've done presentations, something has gone wrong with technology. So that happens more than you think. And when it happens, you can't be frozen. You have to keep going. And so the best way to do that, number one, is to understand your subject matter, right? Understand the content deeply. And then number two, practice, because the mind is, a form of repetition. And so as you keep practicing and practicing your content, it will naturally come to you. So I would say do not use your presentation as a crutch, because things can happen. They happen all the time. I've been in board meetings where that's happened, right? Where it's like, gosh, this is really high stake. You have to keep going. And again, if you're presenting and it's something really important, it's a sales pitch, it's a business plan, for funding for a bank, they're not going to say, okay, you can come back, right? You have to utilize the moment. So make sure that you're always prepared. And the way that you do that is by consistently practicing and knowing your content. So I'm going to hand it over to Charliza at this point to continue some additional tips for you guys.
Thank you, Takisha. That was great. And so now we're going to talk about things that are like for the anxiety driven, and that would be me, right? So we're going to touch on that. We're going to kind of go through some of the things that Takisha said, but just on a deeper level. The first thing that we're going to discuss is the elements of a successful presentation. And the first principle for that is to know your audience, okay? So you want to understand your audience. That's a fundamental step in creating engaging content. Tailoring your presentation to meet their specific needs, interests, and expectations can significantly enhance its impact. For example, presenting anecdotes about crafting to a group of accountants might not hold their attention. They're accountants, right? So it doesn't matter how interesting the stories are, probably not going to resonate. So you want to make sure it's crucial to ensure that your content resonates with the audience, professional and personal interests, to keep them engaged throughout the presentation. Professional background isn't the only demographic to think about when presenting. Also be mindful of age, gender, and even education level. Storytelling is a powerful tool for creating memorable presentations. Conveying personal stories makes your message more relatable and memorable. Data shows that people are more likely to remember stories than they are concepts, and it builds trust. Some of the best stories are engaging and have resolutions that tie back to your topic. Never stray far from the main message. You want to be engaging, but also exude ownership and expertise of your subject. Now, stories are amazing, but you also want to fall on the practical application of your subject. So using case studies to illustrate key points is a good idea as well. Ultimately, if you are selling a product or a service, remember to share success stories because there's no replacing a win. Body language is also a crucial aspect of engaging content delivery. This is the nonverbal cues we all emote when engaging with each other. Being aware of your body language is extremely important when presenting to an audience because everyone is watching you as you talk. So smile. Yes, I know that sometimes during a presentation, there are a lot of things going on. You want to make sure you hit all of your marks. You don't want to stumble or but smiling is very important. Smiling humanizes us. It makes us more approachable and friendly. People do business with people that they like. If you don't appear approachable, people are not going to hear your message, and all of that hard work will be for naught. Good posture is also important. You want to convey confidence, so avoid slouching or hunching over. Finally, engagement. Non-verbally check in with your audience by leaning in. Physically show enthusiasm in your subject. Your audience wants to know that you enjoy what it is you're discussing. Now, this is the tricky one for me. Voice modulation. Okay, this is tricky for me. When I am focused on something, I am not aware of my tone. I can come across monotone or even troubled. Just ask Takisha.
That's kind of true.
So voice modulation is a critical component of delivering a successful presentation, as it significantly enhances engagement. Effective voice modulation involves varying your pitch, tone, volume, and pace to emphasize key points, convey emotions, and maintain listener interest. By strategically adjusting your voice, you can highlight important information, create a dynamic and compelling narrative, and convey enthusiasm and confidence. Oh, did I go too far? I did. Okay. Overcoming public speaking anxiety is one of those things that takes time and practice. You want to be able to be in the moment as you are speaking and communicating effectively. One of the techniques I practice is meditation. Also explore techniques like time management strategies and deep breathing exercises to manage your stress level. Preparing mentally and physically is not just about personal well-being. It significantly impacts a leader's ability to communicate effectively and lead their team. By prioritizing self-reflection, continuous learning, mental clarity, and stress management, leaders can ensure they are in the best possible shape to inspire, motivate, and guide their team. So the importance of understanding the type of audience you will be speaking in front of is key. Not only is it tailoring your message to that audience important, how you structure your presentation is just as important. The information should be structured in a way where the audience can follow your message and retain the information that you are providing. Go back to the basics. Have a clear introduction, a body, and a conclusion. Break down your points so that they are digestible. When practicing, speak out loud. It will help you become more familiar with the content. If you don't have someone to present in front of, stand in front of a mirror. Focus on your tone, your pace, and your body language. If you are one of the lucky few, present to a test group and gain constructive feedback. Be prepared to use that input to improve your presentation. strategies of an effective leader. Maybe I should look over here. Okay. Effective communication strategies are essential for leaders as they reflect and reinforce the core values of leadership to the people they manage. Central to communication strategies of an effective leader are 4 key characteristics: visionary, communication, reliability, motivation, and recognition. Visionary communication entails articulating a clear, compelling vision of the future, inspiring and aligning the team with the organization's long-term goals. Reliability builds trust, credibility through consistent actions, and transparent communication, ensuring that team members can depend on their leader. Motivation involves inspiring and encouraging employees to achieve their best, driving productivity and engagement by clearly communicating the purpose and importance of their work. Recognition acknowledges, appreciates employees' effort and achievements, enhancing morale and reinforcing positive behaviors. Together, these characteristics create a strong foundation for effective leadership, driving organizational success and fostering a positive, productive workplace. But what is often overlooked is the skill that makes all these business outcomes possible: exceptional communication. So a recent study in The Economist found that ineffective communication can lead to lost sales, failure to complete projects, low employee morale, and missed performance goals. Now that we've discussed the characteristics of ineffective leadership communication, let's delve into the critical aspects of building and leading a high-performing team. So establishing a vision and goal, you want to make sure that you have established a clear vision and set strategic goals for a purpose. A compelling vision provides direction and purpose, inspiring team members to strive toward a shared future. Clearly articulated goal breakdown this vision into actionable steps, creating a roadmap that guides the team's efforts. Equally important to establishing vision and goals is to provide constructive feedback. Good or bad, your team has to trust your expertise and know that whatever is happening, the goal is to ensure that, excuse me, that you are invested in their development and want them to improve. Feedback should always be specific, timely, and focused on behaviors and outcomes. You want to encourage a growth mindset and empower individuals to reach their potential. Lastly, cultivating an open and collaborative culture is vital. Encouraging open dialogue and active listening creates an environment for freely flowing of exchange. What enhances problem solving and innovation, it also creates a cohesive team. So in closing, mastering effective communication is not merely a skill, but a pivotal leadership quality that can drive success. By embracing visionary communication, fostering reliability, motivating your team, and recognizing their achievements, you create an environment of trust, inspiration, and continuous improvement. As leaders, our words and actions shape the culture and performance of our teams. I hope we inspired you to commit to refining your communication strategies, ensuring that you are clear, consistent, and impactful. By doing so, we not only elevate our leadership capabilities, but we also empower our teams to achieve excellence. Thank you for your attention.
All right. Well, first, Charliza, Takisha, I just want to say thank you. This was all spot on, and I've been monitoring all the feedback in the chat and a lot of good insights and takeaways for everybody. I mean, we have a few minutes. Would you all be open to some Q&A and let the audience kind of, share some thoughts or feedback or ask questions from your expertise?
Absolutely.
Of course.
Awesome. So please, everyone, let us know if you have any questions. You're welcome to jump on the microphone or drop it in the chart. And I see the first hand up here, Georgia's House of E. Let's go to you first, please. Oh, etiquette. There it is.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Amanita Thomas with Georgia's House of Etiquette. Thank you both. That have always.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Did she freeze up?
Yeah. It
Throws
looks
up a bit,
like it.
yeah.
Is there another question? She will probably get it right soon, but
Hey, it's Jonathan. I had a question for Takisha. Is that okay?
Yeah, please.
No,
Yeah.
it's not. I'm just kidding.
Oh, wow. I think I've learned that people in those personal conversations, people really like the sound of their name. Do you have any tips on remembering names in those initial introductions?
Yeah, so I think actually it really goes back to what I said before of being fully present, right? And so we don't do that because we're just kind of like going through the motions. But I think if you can continue to say someone's name, yes, Jonathan, that's a great point. Hi, John, right? That's kind of, again, part of that repetition of the brain where you'll remember who it is, who they are. So I think it's a great point to continue to say their name throughout the discussion, and then just continue to resist the urge to just talk about your business right away. Really be present about what it is that they're saying, and continue continue to speak their name as you're giving feedback or you're having those active discussions, and follow up with them as well. I have like a weird photographic memory, but my memory visual is awful. So I always try to follow up with people because then I remember sometimes when you write things down, people's names down, you'll find that you're actually able to remember them a lot more.
Thank you so much.
All right. And ladies, we have a question here in the chat from Skittles the nurse. It says, what are tips or ways to not say
So, I mean, I think for me personally, here I go. For me personally, I like to when I have my notes for when I'm presenting, it's almost verbatim what I want to say, so that I'm not like reaching for words, because usually that's what that is about, right? It's like you're talking and you're trying to make a point, and it's like, okay, let me catch this word, and that's where that comes in, because you're filling a gap. So I mean, that's pretty much how I deal with that. Takisha.
Yeah, and it's also just slow down. I can tend to speak really quickly, and Shirley is exactly right. It's a filler word, but if you find that you're slowing down your conversation, you give your brain a chance to kind of catch up to what it is that you're saying. So here I am. So so and those public speaking courses, as I mentioned, they cover that. That is a core area that gets covered, is
Absolutely.
how to not say So that's why I'd also recommend taking a public speaking course.
Right. And I'll add in just a couple of quick thoughts on that. I would say actually putting yourself in a position to speak more. So a lot of it just simply comes from being nervous and still thinking while doing, but the more
Yes.
you do, the less you think, and then it just becomes natural. So you, just like the lady said, instead of filling that space with the ums, you already know your content, you're well rehearsed. So I would challenge everyone to put yourself in a position to present as much as possible, to let people know your expertise and the secret sauce that you're leading with. So then they're interested to learn more about you, learn more about your business, and figure those things out. So that's another level there. I would love to go to Before the Billions for the next question. So let me give you a chance to jump on the mic here.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So my name is William Ogretrice. I'm from Atlanta. I wanted to ask a quick question. I really enjoyed your presentation, but I wanted to ask, how do you handle when somebody's being dismissive of you, whether you're doing public speaking or just telling somebody about your business or yourself?
When you say dismissive, what specifically?
Oh, I have a quick example. I went to a summit yesterday at Morehouse College, and I was telling people about my business, and one guy, he just like turned his head like while I was talking to him. I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess he's not listening. And then just more so like not really caring what I'm talking about or what I'm saying. So that's what I mean by like being dismissive.
Yeah, some people are not going to care. Some people, you can't take things personally. Some people are not going to care about what you do. Some people are not going to care about you. That's why I said that not everyone is your client. So you can't take things offensively. The people who are engaged are the people who are interested in what it is that you do. So I wouldn't take it too personally. You're going to run across that. That just, it's kind of inevitable. Certain people are interested in certain things. It doesn't mean that what you're doing is not interesting. It's just not interesting to that person. You don't want to then waste your time or spend too much time on people who are not actively engaged in what it is that you're trying to discuss.
For sure. Agreed.
I will second and third that thought as well. Ladies, we have a question from Sean Cunningham. It says, what advice would you give on attire or dress code in regards to networking and communication for in-person settings?
Okay, I will go there. Anytime I'm doing any kind of presenting or networking, I tend to wear like my business colors. That's a thing for me. So my business colors are blue and gold. And so I usually try to, that's kind of like almost representing my brand. Match the room as far as the attire. You want to match the room. If everyone is dressed nicely, or business casual, or business, you want to just kind of match the room what everyone else is wearing.
Yeah, I would second that 100%. That's a part of, again, knowing your audience. So if you are presenting at a highly professional, you know, maybe finance, banking or something like that, right? You might want to have your three-piece suit. If you're in a more creative industry, right, and you're presenting to them, you can have a little, something that reflects a little bit more about that kind of industry. So I would try to, look at the audience that you will likely run into and try to match your attire to that, because sometimes you can be too formal, right? If you're in a much more relaxed industry and they see you in a three-piece suit, they may not want to engage with you. So
Yeah.
that's kind of a what I would start with.
Yeah, and ladies, would it be fair, I guess, the way that both of you answered that question there, it tells me that networking is another form of marketing. So my takeaway
Absolutely.
based on both of your feedback right there is that you're marketing your business. So how you
Mhm.
dress when you show up to that networking event, that is a form of marketing for your business, right?
Absolutely.
Yes, networking is ultimately marketing. Networking is, also your referrals. A lot of your referrals will come through the networking. You may not necessarily get your direct target audience, and I think especially people who have been in business for a long time will tell you that after a certain point, most of your new clients are going to come from referrals. So that is very much tied to what networking is. If you're a little bit more introverted, you don't really, like people, I know that that's hard. But try to force yourself to get out there, even if you just have your own goal of, I just want to meet 2 to 3 really solid leads and then I can leave. But just have a goal when you go into networking. Don't just willy-nilly talk to people that you didn't get anything out of it. Make sure that you have a goal of, getting something out of it for your business.
Right, fantastic. And we have one final question. Tracy, give me 1 second. I just want to acknowledge again both of our speakers today, Takisha and Charlisa. I just want to thank you so much for giving us your time, your expertise, leading us in today's conversation. And want to invite everybody. Their contact information is, of course, on the screen here. Please take some time to get to know these ladies and their businesses even more as members of our chamber. And please stay tuned with all the great events. We have our upcoming events next month. Again, a focus on how to use LinkedIn and Alignable. We have some experts who literally teach classes on LinkedIn and Alignable coming up. Great platforms for business growth, whether you're B2B or B2C. And then we have some in-person network. So I just wanted to highlight those in our final minute here. Tracy, you get the final question for our time today. And then we're gonna release everybody back out to the world to grow your businesses.
Thank you. And I didn't see your name. I just see Atlanta Black Chambers.
Oh, thank you, Jarvis.
Um,
Thank you.
Jarvis. Um, Beyond the question, I wanted to say thank you to Takisha and Charlisa. And being here, I just saw you all on Eventbrite and became curious. And I'm so glad I'm here. And I feel like I've been missing out. I've had my head down running for the last 15 years with my career. And you all are offering some value
Thank
and some
you.
good stuff. You're welcome. And I appreciate you taking your time to be here. So I'm the therapist here. And so some things I just can't even resist. The first Black female brain spotting trainer in the world. And to see my sisters and my brothers doing their thing. Can you please drop a link to the Atlanta Black Chambers? Because this is like what the Chamber of Commerce, but a Black sector of it. Like, I've been in the books too long. My team is pushing me back into the world, and I'm so glad that I've discovered you all because this is something worthwhile. And I'd
Now,
like to get involved.
now, Tracy, thank you so much. I just dropped the link in the chat for you, Tracy. And
Got
of
it.
course, if we have any visitors, if you're not already a member with the Chamber, please check us out. Clearly, we are here supporting Black business owners and Black business leaders across the board, but some fantastic things going on in the community. So, Tracy, thank you for a chance to plug the Chamber even more. Guys, we are right there. It's 12:30 on my time right here. So I want to make sure we stay on time, respect everything you all have going on. And just again, encourage you all to stay connected with everything we're doing. Be sure to check these amazing leaders out. Takisha, Charlisa, thank you again for everything you just led us in today. And we appreciate you all. Stay connected with everything we're doing within the ABC.
Thank you. Have a great day,
Thank
everybody.
Great
you.
job today. Thank
Be
you.
great.
Thank you.
Right. And Melvin, I will give you a shout a little later. I have to jump on another call, but I hope today's event exceeded
Yeah.
expectations as always, sir.
It looked like it. Shout out to the ladies. Great turnout, great content. So let's keep doing it, brother.
Right. You got it. We're on it. We got a couple of months already planned out in advance. So we're good.
All right.
All
Talk
right.
to you soon. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.